Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. I am practicing, so that is my job. I'm not a YouTuber. My job is that I am a therapist. I'm also a doctoral student, so at one point when I'm finished, I will be a psychologist. But I am not a psychologist yet. Once I finish my PhD and take my test, etc., get hours, I will be a psychologist, okay? Just to clear that up, I work with a lot of avoidant individuals. And I notice a pattern with a lot of them, and I notice in your comments, a lot of you guys are asking. I try to explain it, but I think a video might make more sense for y'all. And that is why an avoidant is more loving in the beginning of the relationship, as well as how to get that back. And before we talk about it, you're never going to get that entire beginning back because a lot of it was not 100% genuine, but you might get something even better. And that's what we're going to get into. But let's first talk about why this happens. A lot of individuals think this isn't a way for an avoidant individual to kind of pull you in and manipulate you. From my experience as a therapist, that is not why this happens. Maybe. Everything I say is, it's never 100%, not a one-size-fits-all. However, oftentimes what I've experienced is that it's not trying to manipulate or even love bomb. Because love bomb, from my understanding and my perspective, is that there's some form of intention. Some form. And the intention is typically the locus of the intention, or actually, let's put it this way. The focus of the intention is the other person. I hope that makes sense. Whereas the avoidant, why they do it, their focus is about themselves. They're not trying to get anything out of another person. They're trying to disguise who they are, not to trick you, but it's because they're putting on a mask because simply you're a stranger. And so the first one is that they are able to behave a certain way because they just don't know you. And they're not showing you their true self because they don't know you. They're not hiding anything. Similarly to, let's say you're going to work and you know that maybe your work is like more of an office setting and you have to be more friendly with your colleagues to get, to get more respect. A lot of my patients say that this is common with certain types of jobs, right? Where you have to be a bit more social with some of the people, kind of get buddy-buddy, because that's just the office, behavior, I guess. That's how you guys are supposed to act in office, I suppose. And so you're told that this is how you're supposed to behave in a certain setting, and so you do that. It's not that you're trying to manipulate anybody. It's not you're trying to get a promotion, even though it might help. I don't know. But what you're trying to do is you're just trying to engage in what you believe is right for your position as an employee. So when you open up to somebody, you show them your true colors. But at the office, these are colleagues. You don't really know them. And so you're just putting on a mask. Avoidance, when they're meeting people, they put on a mask of what they think they're supposed to be because they have this wound that they believe who they really are is not acceptable. And so they're putting on a more loving and more flirtatious behavior because they think, okay, this is how I'm supposed to act. And I'm not going to be accepted for who I am. So I'm just going to put on this mask, just like a person in office, right? I'm going to put on this mask because this is who I am. This is how I'm supposed to be at work. That's the same thing. This is how I'm supposed to be when I connect with somebody. That's why that happens, right? That's one reason. And then obviously once they get to know you, they feel, okay, I'm more comfortable. I can take off the mask. That's it, right? Another reason why this happens, and all of these are a combination, or maybe just one or another, but most of the time it's all of these things. The next one is their fears are less prominent. And so this is the part where some of their emotions that they felt in the beginning were genuine, but now it shows less often. And the reason why is due to the lack of attachment. They can be more expressive because there's less risk for them because they're less attached to you. And so if you leave them, it's not going to hurt as much. And so maybe they'll tell you that you're beautiful more often. You're more handsome. You're a good guy. They're going to compliment you. And those compliments are genuine, but it's less risk to compliment you because they're less attached to you. Once they get attached to you, they get in their head. Actually, some of them are more anxious and more detached, and they don't really know how to proceed because they have a lot of thoughts subconsciously, actually, and some are conscious. If I express myself, if I show this, you're not gonna like me, or you're gonna think less of me, or what if you leave me and I gave you my heart? I don't want to do that. That's what starts showing up. And because it is true that the potential of them giving their heart is big, it's high, and so they know that, so they're guarding their heart. So then that's the second one. Fears are less prominent. The third one, I don't think I've really heard much people have an understanding of this. And so I'm going to try and walk you guys through it. And I might have to make a separate video on this now that I'm thinking about it. So often, and this is way more common with anxious, preoccupied individuals, what happens is the partner of the avoidance, we're not talking about the avoidant right now, the partner of the avoidant has less expectations for the relationship because they feel less attached to them. And so the lack of expectations due to liking them less actually makes the avoidant feel more accepted. And so it's almost like it's not how they were in the beginning. And I know this can be a little triggering, and I'm sorry. I'm just being honest with you, and I do apologize. Because you guys, or whoever you are, the person, the avoidance couple, relationship, whatever, is less pressuring and less expecting, the avoidant can open up. So I'm going to give you an example. And this is just an example. I'm not trying to pin this on anybody. Let's say we have an anxious, preoccupied female, and we have two guys. Maybe the first guy, she doesn't really like him that much. She knows that he's a good guy, but she's not really that attracted to him. And so she's not as expecting him to answer messages as quickly. She's not, maybe she's not expecting him to be more emotionally connected to her. She doesn't get as angry at him when he's not doing something because she has less attachment towards him. She's less attracted to him. This happens a lot. I know this might be triggering, but I'm just being honest with you. I make these videos to help. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, I'm not doing this for money. And so she shows less of those pressuring behaviors. But the second guy, let's say there's another guy, she likes him a lot. Maybe she even puts him on a pedestal. He's so awesome. He's so great. She has expectations for him. She's waiting around till he answers. Her life is focusing more on him. This is an extreme case, right? This is just an example. And she really wants to talk to him more often. She wants to see him every day. She's expecting the relationship to progress. And all of these things are great. That means she really likes this guy. Like, he should be lucky. He should feel great. But an avoidant translates this as pressure. So the more you like an avoidant, sometimes it pushes them away because they translate some of these behaviors as pressure, right? You're wanting him to change. You want him to answer the messages more. You want to call more. You want to see more. That's all like signs that a person likes you, right? Especially if you're anxious, preoccupied. You guys give that to people you love. But an avoidant feels like this is pressure. So in the beginning of the relationship, you might not be as attached to him, and so you don't show that as much. And so the avoidant individual may feel more comfortable showing their true colors simply because of the lack of pressure. And so while that may sound unfortunate, that means that if you decrease pressure, your partner will show their love again, at least more in an obvious way. Does that make sense? I'm just telling you how these things work. I'm not saying what's wrong or right, okay? And the next one, the fourth one, is avoidance. Not all of them, but quite a bit of them have less experience with long-term relationships. So typically, they actually don't know what to do once it gets to a certain point. I have had many patients actually express this to me. They genuinely do not know what comes next. And so they don't know, am I supposed to compliment after this stage? You know, am I supposed to be more relaxed? What do I do? What comes next? Because a lot of times, if you guys are with an avoidant, you might be the person they've been with the longest. And so you get all the stuff that they've never practiced on with another person. Sorry if that sounds bad, but they're not sure what to do next. And so it's a learning curve. And so you're watching them in this long-term relationship and sometimes failing, even though failing is a trigger for them, which is why it takes even longer, because they see they're trying this, you react a certain way, it makes them feel bad, and then they pull away and they continue this cycle because they're trying to learn. And so that's an actually very important realization for individuals, because it actually shows whether or not it's obvious, but if an avoidant partner is with you long term, it's very likely they care about you because they don't have much experience. So sometimes they're just learning alongside this relationship, okay? So what can you and your partner do to return this love and heal this trigger? Because avoidance and love, it doesn't work very well. It's part of their trigger, which is why a lot of videos focus on how to help the avoidant and how to help the partner gain this back, because it's their trigger. Similarly, anxious individuals, your trigger is, from my perspective, abandonment. And that is something that you will have to focus on while the relationship and outside of it. Avoidance, similarly. Love is kind of their trigger. And so how can we return to love so that this fear of love decreases and love is something that is positive towards them and the relationship is more valuable for them? So the first one, both of you guys need to be mindful, or should be, not need to be, should be more mindful of expectations towards each other and adjust those expectations as needed to build further connection. So this is something I talk about a lot, but let's say an anxious, preoccupied male, he wants to get married in a year. And his dismissive avoidant girlfriend, she's not even sure she wants to get married, but definitely not in a year. Usually if she's saying that, it's probably likely that she will want to, but likely when there's less pressure. This is probably something that if he wants to be with this girl, he's going to have to adjust. Okay, she's not ready right now. He needs to be confident as well. You can't always listen to an avoidance words 100%. Anxious individuals especially get really caught up. If an avoidant says this, I got to take it point blank. No, they're triggered. Sometimes they just say things. I'm telling you. You don't have to believe me, but you may have to learn that for yourself. A lot of avoidants, they say things that they don't mean, especially when they're triggered. A lot of people do that. That's why it's called a trigger. It's not fully genuine to who they are. So in this example, she may say, no, I don't want to get married. I never want to get married. Eventually, she very well could want to get married, but it's probably not going to be in a year. And so it's very important to recognize you may have to adjust that expectation, or if that's something really important to you, she's probably not the one for you. And I'm not giving you false hope. I'm not saying all avoidants will magically want to get married. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you'd be surprised at how many of them are open to getting married once the pressure is off. Just something to think about. And then for avoidant individuals, try to recognize that your expectation is that relationships should be easy and relaxed, because a lot of you guys don't have much experience with relationships and you don't have much experience facing your own feelings. And so you think that even the slightest, disconnection in the relationship means that the relationship is doomed. Try to challenge those beliefs and recognize that when your partner is trying to tell you something about how they feel, it's not that they're trying to fight and make the day ruined. They're probably just trying to open up to you. And this is their version of connecting with you. This is their version of wanting to get harmony. In their mind, how to get harmony is walking through certain things and talking things out. So be more willing to talk things out and hear things from your partner's perspective. You might learn something. So be mindful of that and adjust your expectations. Relationships probably are not going to be as lack of disagreeing as you'd want. So adjust that expectation. There'll probably be a little more disagreements in a long-term relationship than you want. That's okay. You can still set boundaries. But recognize that you probably will have to talk about some hard conversations, but it's healthy for you. Because then once you realize that, you'll build the skill that maybe this isn't that scary. And it's not, you're going to learn how to regulate your feelings better, regardless of if you're in a relationship or not. It's a good skill to have, right? The second one is recognize that because of the lack of experience that avoidants have with deep connection in general, even with themselves, there is a learning curve. That means that it's probably going to take a little bit longer for them to get the hang of it. So, anxious and secure individuals have a longer time looking at how they feel and what love means to other people and what connections mean and friendships mean. So they understand that this is valuable. Avoidant individuals, especially dismissive avoidant, they're just not there yet. And so it's really important to recognize while this relationship is progressing, they're also learning how to communicate. They're also learning how to get their needs met. They're also learning how to meet your needs. They're also learning how to adapt you in their schedule that they have with all their downtime and busy hobbies. They're also learning how to see that this is valuable. So to even like love in general, they're also learning that, right? Among other things, being more comfortable with physical connection. They are learning a lot. You guys have no idea. If you're not an avoidant, this is probably not something you will understand, but I'm going to be really honest with you. Human connection and love can be extremely suffocating for some avoidants, and it's such a mystery. I mean, some avoidants don't even like being hugged by their parents and their siblings. Like, it's so hard to explain, but you have no idea that if an avoidant is even with you, how much that means. They don't have to be. Avoidants are, happy as they can be by themselves. The fact that they have risked that to be with you, to talk to you, some of them may call it deal with you. Not a nice word, but you might have heard them say that. It means that you matter. Just something I wanted to think about. I'm not saying, I know the bar's on the floor. I hear you guys, but I'm just saying it might be something to remember. If you're feeling like, oh, my partner doesn't love me, maybe you're wrong. I'm not saying you have to stay, but at least have some awareness that deep connection is a huge mystery to them. A lot of them are learning this as they go. And then for you as an avoidant, what can you do to speed up that learning curve? Well, learn to lean in, ask questions. What can I do better? And set your boundary. This is too much. I can't do this right now. Maybe someday, but not now. I would say for avoidance, learn to not use so strong language when it comes to like never or, I'm never going to, or this is just not me. That's not helpful because all that you're doing is creating, first of all, you're shutting off communication, which I know you want to at that moment. But what it actually creates is your partner will have resentment on the back end. And what's going to happen is later they're going to be more reactive. And so you just lost your peace and calm that you wanted. So if you really want peace and calm, the best opportunity is hear them out and lean in a little bit. If they're asking to text more, maybe just do it. I know you don't want to be like, I get that. You don't want to change your whole life and you want them to respect who you are. It doesn't mean do it 100%, but try it. Trying probably won't hurt. And if it does, pull back and set that boundary, but give it a shot. What are they asking for? Maybe it's not that bad. Think about that, okay? The next one is communicate directly, not abrasively, while still communicating respectfully and not expecting results right away. Both of you guys need to communicate what's going on in your head. What do you want? Not being abrasive, a loving conversation, discussions and arguments, or whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, if it's constructive, it was worth it, right? Have a constructive conversation and not expect results right away. If an avoidant is saying, you know what, on weekends, I can't always be on the phone or texting. This is my time to relax because I have a really busy job. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm at home with my dog. I promise I'm not doing anything, but I need this time. I need to be alone on Saturday. Explain why. Don't just say, I don't want to talk to you, or just ignore text. Tell them why so your partner is not crashing out, and then they're going to blow up your phone, and then you guys are going to fight. Just tell them. Communicate. Anxious individuals or the partner of avoidance, communicate. I get that you need some space, and I hear that. Do you think that maybe after that the next day, Sunday morning, we could have like a brief phone call just to talk because it makes me feel comfortable? Find some sort of happy medium. Both of you guys have to communicate and compromise, and do not expect results right away. It is hard. Everybody, I think most people know change can be very difficult. So be patient with yourself, be patient with your partner. And when you guys get frustrated and upset, learn to forgive quickly and move on, okay? And the very last one, sorry for the camera shake, is understand both parties likely need healing. and that you can learn from each other instead of against one another. Avoidant individuals, you probably likely have a partner that knows how to connect and love better than you do. Not a good word. That's a placeholder word. I don't have one right now. They have more experience showing their feelings and connecting than you probably do. And so maybe instead of learning in your own way and failing and then being discouraged, kind of pick up after your partner. Okay, they ask you how your day was. That's probably, a way to show people love. Maybe you could pick that up. They want to give you a birthday present. Don't tell them no. Open up. Okay, this is an opportunity that they show love. Let them. And then what are you going to do? Give them a present on their birthday. Learn. It might help you, right? And so anxious individuals, avoidant individuals need some time to decompress. They need to move away from a fight. Maybe learn that. It'll help you regulate your emotions better. It'll help you learn to connect with your inner self, and that you can start being more confident that you can do this. You don't need somebody else to do it for you. And you'll be proud of yourself eventually, hopefully, right? And so those are things I want you to realize. Your partner is not your enemy. You're on the same team, okay? I hope that helps. Please subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next one.